Issues Live with Crystal.
It's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us and
Yeah.
so willing to tell. You mentioned that you weren't always an entrepreneur. Can you just give us a little bit of your journey?
Well, for me to give you a synopsis on the journey, I try to be as short as possible, but I would have to take you all the way back to where it all began with my father.
No
I
problem.
was,
We have
I
time,
was,
right,
starting,
guys?
I was, start- I was starting the story, but I
Mhm.
have to tell you because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have this instilled in me. Is
Right,
what I saw growing up,
right.
and I realized that basically he didn't have an high school education. He
Mm-hmm.
actually went to school till the age of 9. His mom and his dad died. So because of that, he lived with his auntie. And he lived in the country. And auntie have her own kids, and she had to worry about that. So she sent her kids to school, but never sent him to school. He had to tie out the donkeys, cow, and the goat, and them kind of abuse there.
Right.
And they used to lock him up in a room with dead people and all them stuff. Them talk all these stories. So he had some trauma growing up, a really rough childhood. But he was destined to find his way out.
Right.
So he hustled and did what any young man would do without direction. But he actually was good at operating equipments. So like cranes and forklifts and stuff like that.
Right.
So he got into that and he ended up working for Alcoa. That was his major job. He got a job at Alcoa because my mom encouraged him. You see, as a man, sometimes you doubt yourself or what you can accomplish, but if you have a good woman beside you,
Right.
there's no limit to what you can accomplish. So he was telling my mom, based on the story he told me, that I'm not a pen man. That's what he said. That's what them talked back in the day. I'm not a pen man, meaning I'm not a book man. I'm not bright. I'm not educated. They're not gonna hire me.
Right.
And mom just said, just go down there. Any job them give you, take it.
Right.
And he went down to Alcoa and applied, and they give him job in on the grounds, and him working way up to become one of Alcoa #1 crane operator.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. And he could barely read, but he taught himself. So he worked for Alcoa for a while, and at the position that he was, they made him redundant. And he was probably around, I would say, probably 50, in his late 50s, He's a boomer. But he didn't want to work for nobody else.
Right.
So he bought a van. He started to do passenger van work. It didn't work for him. He started selling kerosene. Didn't work. That failed. He bought a pickup truck, and someone asked him to pick some cylinders up. That's the medical grade oxygen for the Maple Hospital. And he did it, and that changed his whole life. Because once he went to Jamaica Oxygen, we know as IGL, but I could give you the story, the back end story on that. Once he went there and started making those moves, he saw a truck that was parked. And he knew the van was too small to do all these runs, so he asked if the truck was for sale, and it was. So he spoke to the bank, and the bank gave him the money, and he spoke to them on a contractual basis to pull all the oxygen, industrial grade, and settle into Clarendon, which would be to Monimus and Alcoa and to the hospital.
Right.
And he started from there till we have about 5 trucks. See him, the old man can't read it good enough, but him I read the Bible and I teach himself. So, pardon me. So seeing him doing that without education, and was so respected among his peers because he had actually pioneered the way logistic was done throughout the company.
Right.
He established the branch in Mandeville, which is the depot. He established one in Montego Bay. So right now, we're familiar with a company called IGL, but a lot of people don't know that that company bought out the company called Jamaica Oxygen.
Oh, okay.
So the colors that you see on the IGL trucks now, they were colors that was our truck colors, blue and white. That was my dad.
Okay.
IGL colors was an ugly navy green color and white. But when they took over the company, they took two colors.
Right.
Right? And it ended up before IGL took over that his truck got unreliable. They let him go and tell him his truck was unreliable. Didn't pay him his back money. And with all of that, he ended up in a really depressed state because he almost lost everything because he had owed the bank some money as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in a really
Hold on
bad
there.
state.
Somebody just said reliable logistics JA. Does that have anything to do with it, or that's just their
No, no, I'm not sure what
you're
that
not
is.
familiar with that? Okay.
No.
All right, King Him, I pin it so you guys can follow that. Is it that your business? Yeah, sorry to cut you. Yeah.
No worries. No worries. So yeah, so when they told him his truck was unreliable, he was very depressed and distraught. Because what happened, we had Leland trucks. Leland Clyde, anybody that have trucks understand Leland Clydesdale was the thing in place them time. And then they start bringing in Leland Freighter from England.
Right.
But there was other people that was bringing in American-made trucks. Our trucks was British-made. They couldn't manage the hill like Melrose Hill. They were burning up and they call it boiling. We had loose gearbox, all these things. So my dad's dream of growing a business and leaving it for us, his legacy, kind of crumbled right around when I was leaving high school.
Okay.
Right, I did my exam the last week, the Thursday, my last exam, the Thursday, he got the letter. So that week when I was supposed to leave to go drive, think I had a truck to drive, we had no trucks, we had no contract.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a difficult path. So from there, I wanted to do something for it. So when I came to America, my story, not really doing well in high school because I didn't know I was smart enough to do good. I just felt like I was one of those kids that probably don't need it and I'm not bright. I never felt bright. So I never paid attention in class. Mm-hmm. I could pass the test, but I couldn't learn what the teacher was telling me.
Right.
So I never got the CXCs like everybody did. I actually got recommended for one CXC. And I took the money and bought KFC for all of my friends. I didn't really care. I didn't see the value in CXC that time. So, but when I came to America, right?
And that was in Jamaica. You were in Jamaica at that time. Yeah.
Yes, I was in.
That's where they do CXC. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. So when I came to America, I realized that me messing up in school,
mm-hmm.
it follows you.
Yeah.
It follows you. You have to repeat. You have to do something about it. So I ended up suffering because when I sent for my transcript, trying to find a good job, they wouldn't use me. Couldn't get into any, technical college or school. Luckily, a friend of mine recommended me to join Mazda, and they did hire me. I started with Mazda as a lube guy, mm-hmm. changing oil, doing all these things. And they sent me to one training class. Mm-hmm. And the instructor fell in love with me. He's like, this guy is so willing to learn. They requested me to come back. So the course was a 5-year course to be a master mechanic for Mazda. And that because of Charles Parker, my instructor, I finished up in 3 years. So because he took...
Before you continue, because right. I have some youths that I try to motivate, but it's like, so they, just like you, they didn't do much in high school, but they don't want to start from a little job. They don't want people to see them doing certain things. And you could have said, listen, I'm not going to change any oil, or I'm not going to do that. I don't want nobody to see me changing oil. But you didn't. And just because of that, they saw the potential in you and promoted you. So how do you talk to these youths? What would you say to the youths who they're just, I'm not going to do certain things and so forth, if it's not a big name job, or, I don't want my friends seeing me doing that. So, they prefer to beg or do what they're not supposed to do, or turn to illegal activities. What would you say to these youths to motivate them?
Well, it's a mindset, Some people you're not able to save everyone. It's a mindset, because some of us get lost down that track.
Right.
It wasn't all peachy for me. When my dad lost the contract, we went from oxtail and Cowfoot and Sundays to sometimes sardines and crackers. It was rough.
Right.
So seeing my dad went through that, that's what changed my mindset. Because I was a spoiled kid. I was spoiled. I had everything handed to me. So I felt like the world was mine and I could conquer it and do everything. But when I see my father crumble when he lost that and couldn't leave the legacy for us,
right,
that broke my heart. So I would have done anything to make them not eat sardine and crackers anymore. You understand what I'm saying? Because when it come down to selling the last truck to save the house,
Mm-hmm.
then that was some serious stuff now. Because guess what? We have no truck. And I'm a young man trying to start life, and I'm the last one. All my siblings went away to foreign, and I'm looking at mom and dad, and I'm like, if I'm here, I gotta find something to do, but there was nothing to do. Luckily, I was able to come to the US. So you can't save everyone, but they have to stay hungry. If you're not hungry, it doesn't matter what ambition you have. If you don't stay hungry and want something, because when you're hungry, you'll do anything. You ever see a starving man? Starving man will eat anything. And that's what happens. Some of these kids, they're not hungry. They're not homeless. You put them on the street and that's all they have to survive, they'll do whatever it takes. It could be bad, it could be good, but if they have good influences, you know, they might go the good way. Because I had opportunities to go into violence. I had the opportunity, I have people around me that had gun. I was from the neighborhood wasn't great, but I knew that I could, my mom, I couldn't let my mom down.
Right.
You see my mom cry would break my heart. So I had things guided me, you know, little things that keep me in check. So those were the things that let me stay apart.
Right.
So, but after working for Mazda for many years and, you know, reaching to the highest level that they had, you know, quality control, technician, engineer, RX8 specialist, I got bored. I wanted to venture off into aeronautics. But before I did that, I wanted to do something for my dad in the trucking industry.
Right.
So we started a trucking company called Liebert Morgan Trucking, my first company.
Right.
My very first company of my own. I put his name on it, Liebert Morgan. I put his colors. And I was fortunate enough to have him come up when the business was booming. I was getting married that time. And he flew up and he was able to, I put his t-shirt on him. I put his hat on his head. I drove him in the truck, and he never seen a semi-truck that long, because the longest trailer we have in Jamaica, I mean, on a regular, not specialized units, a regular trailer average about 40 feet.
Right.
Over here, 53. So for me, having him in it, it was a blessing to see him. He actually came out the truck when I was done, and he cried because he was so proud to see his name on the truck, his hat, his shirt, because he saw that even though the legacy had died, that he thought had died.
Yes. Yeah.
I resurrected it, and I made sure the colors, the blue and white colors that he chose, was on the truck.
I'm ready now for you to tell us exactly what Nuff Loads is. You know, Jamaicans already, we are not so technologically inclined. So when you tell us to download this and get app on the phone and all kind of things, you know, we're kind of backward.
Yeah, and nobody has credit. Nobody has credit.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the app and where you want the app and why we should download the app.
All right. Well, the app was an idea because of the industry that I'm in. Because I'm into the shipping and logistics here. I realize how easy my life is when I do what I do. And I remember when my dad was running his trucking company, he used to run loaded one way. And he said, it doesn't make sense running your truck loaded one way and empty, coming back. You're eating up the profits that you just made. So you're burning up back your fuel, you're burning fuel going both ways, but you're only pulling load one way. So you're decreasing the earnings coming back. So they were doing that to him when he had his gas truck. And he said, and this was cylinder, industrial gases. Right. So they were actually not just gas in the thin air. They're actual cylinders, individual cylinders. Right. They're empty, just like a cookie gas. They have to go back for refilling. So he said, why am I going here, dropping off and coming back empty? Right. They got empty bottles and they are responsible to bring it back. Why not charge them and I bring them back and you pay me? Right. So he negotiated that every time he'll drop somewhere, he'll take their empties. So he was running one way loaded, and the bottles were empty now, but his truck was still loaded and he had to be paid coming back. So every time his truck moved, he got paid. And he taught me that don't run your truck empty. And this is how America run. But my dad, even though he wasn't educated, he had the concept from then. So I noticed that most haulage contractors in Jamaica doesn't really think about that. Right. What they do, they would pick up a load from Montego Bay and go to Kingston to Montego Bay, and they'll haul ass back to where they're coming from, try to hope to catch another load. And they probably drive so hard going back, they burn twice the amount of fuel, even though they're empty. But they're not thinking about it.
Right.
So the platform that we're developing, this idea came up from that time, and then I tried it 2012 or 11 when I first got back to Jamaica, but I was bankrupt, so I didn't have enough money. But I went to the University of Technology and I launched it at a technology. I forgot what it was called, but Blitz Entertain, Bliss Technology was there.
At UTech.
Blitz.
We have UTech people on there. I don't know what that's. I don't know.
Blitz. There was a section there that had a company called Bliss Technology. They're doing good now. I'm gonna tell you because they actually did my website.
Oh. Okay.
I launched it there, and there was a gentleman there that was so excited. It was a website at the time, and we went over the concept, and he said, "You know, you could do a app for this." And I said, "What's a app?" And he's like, "It's one of them things, man." Where and he couldn't find no apps. Them time app never existed. Only app was Talking Tom and the iPhone. So there was nothing to refer to. So that's how long ago. But I went bankrupt, and the website idea got thrown out. And when COVID hit the other day, and I lost one segment of my business, I ended up with time on my hand, time to think, time to reflect, time to renew my ideas. But this long project I had just popped back up, and I'm like, you know what? Let me try to find out if I can get this cracking again. I may have a little bit of money that I can invest in it. So I reached out back to that company. They moved off the UTech campus. They have their own place now. They actually was working from home, and I contacted them. And they said, we can't do it now. Everybody's building online websites. We're busy. We can't touch it. Right? So I searched locally here, and I found a developer. And he asked me to design the flow. I draw the flow, how it's supposed to intertwine, what buttons touch what, go where. So I designed the flow, sent it to him, and he mocked it up. And he gave me back something. And I said, I like this, but it needs a lot of work. But he wasn't a Jamaican. He could never understand the Jamaican culture, the lingo. We talk, I talk to him and he not get it. So I put it aside and I said, I need you guys. I called back Blitz and said, I need you guys. So whenever you're free, let's do it. And they find some time and took on the project. And they designed the website for me first. And I said, the website looked really well. I want you to finish the app and copy or make a replica of it, or let it mirror or reflect the same concept. Authentic Jamaican, because we are Jamaican. I'm a trucker. I like the smell of diesel and oil. I was born in it. And any trucker would understand. I want to do something for my Jamaican truckers. I don't want them to feel like some overseas man I try to make a money and run away. I know that them thing we are trying to do Jamaican authentic. So I had to dig deep. And I had done the case study from then. I had met some guys, the Jamaican truckers, they sit under the tree, they play domino, they might drink some Heineken and eat KFC wings, and I wait on a load. So I walked up to a couple of them different hardware stores and different places, and I asked them, how would you feel if you could go on your phone and get a load? And like, man, if that happened, would I do that right now? So I did all of that case study. I still had all the data from then. So I used that to finish up the process. No. And then with the help of you had helped me launch when I came down. So we did a launch.
Sure.
And we were focusing on the drivers so that when the customers go on the board, when we do the customer marketing, the customers will see that the drivers are there. But think of Nuff Loads as simple as this. It's a virtual complex where truckers hang out. If you can think of every trucker or every truck that you could imagine you have a need for, a flatbed, a wrecker, a dump truck, a box truck, reefer, whatever it is, and all these truckers are parked somewhere waiting on you to find them.
Right.
You just walk into this big complex and you be like, I need you, I need a dump truck, come. That is what Nuff Loads is. It's put all those trucks in the palm of your hand. So you can now click on the app and search for the truck. And if you don't find a truck, you may want a particular truck, a particular size. You can't find it. You have the option to post the load you're trying to move. So say you are moving a backhoe, or you're moving your furniture to your house. You need something specific to that size or what, you can post it. I'm moving this, I need to move this date, I want to pay this much money. And the drivers are able to see it and they'll be able to call you once they match the criteria. Now, bear in mind, we made the app very simple so that the average Jamaican, that even if you dropped out of school like my dad did at 9 years old, you're still able to figure that app out and make it as simple as possible so that the average guy can click a couple buttons, 3 buttons, and get to where we need to go. The problem we're having is the traditional mentality.
Yes, because the drivers are excited about it. The promo girls did a very good job. So, you know, drivers are excited. But guys, help us to spread the word so, you know, people can actually go on the app and use the app, you know. Because as we said, you know, Jamaicans, they're still not there as it relates to using the app. You don't
remember, for now, the app is free. As much as I can afford to, I will continue to invest in the app and the development. We have the engineers steadily working, tweaking. We get feedbacks every now and then, and we change things every now and then. We have a monthly update. You can go and get an updated version of the app every month almost. There's always something we change or upgrade because we get feedback. But the app is free. I'm not rich, so I have to pay for this. Everything that we do costs me, coming out of my pocket. There's no board except me and God. There's no board making decision on how much money we can spend. What is the marketing budget? It's all me. So we would really appreciate the support. So whatever you can do to forward the app to different people and recommend it and sign up and use it. If you need a truck, if you're a trucker, sign up and post your truck. You might be frustrated you're not getting a load today. But I know by next year when we finish our marketing campaign and really launch, and it's a challenge to get some media involved. We're trying to get with Small Jamaica. We tried all different platforms, and it seemed like it's who you know.
Do you have any final words to anyone?
I just want to thank the people that took the time to listen to my story. I probably bored them to death, but I really appreciate you guys that stuck around from the beginning to the end. Thanks for spending the time to listen and get to understand where we're coming from. And I hope you understand the journey of life as it relates to being an entrepreneur. It's not easy. It's constant struggle. Even today, it's a struggle. And sometimes I just want bread and you have to break it up and eat it. Sometimes I pure crumbs, but it's a journey. If you really want to do it, you have to have the dedication, but there's always steps you have to take that necessary. You can't just jump on head on into it because people say that's the way to go. You need to think about what you're doing, put God first, and slowly replace the income of the job you're in before you move from there.
With Nuff Loads. As I say, guys, go ahead and follow Nuff_Loads on Instagram. They have Facebook page as well. They have YouTube. You know, download the app. It's free to download an app. If you want to move out, some of you female, if you're in any abusive relationship, you know, I don't stand for that. You need to
move
call
out.
a truck
Loads, right?
and move out. Yeah, go find somewhere. Go find an auntie or somebody, or
You
send him
just come
out.
up with an idea for your other while ago.
Pack him and
We
send
need
him
to
out.
take that funny. You need to move out.
Yeah, we not do them something there, but you know, serious.
Right.
You know, so you know, I wish you all the best, and your story definitely was inspiring. Thank you for being vulnerable on my live. This is a public platform, and you spit so much. Yeah, because I've known you for years and I didn't know most of this, you know. So you being, you know, so open, just to help people and inspire people, I definitely appreciate that. That's what my platform is all about. Yeah. All right, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hello? So I see I pick mix up us. Me need help.
Stammer, one thing, Aya?
Listen, landlord boy, tell me something. In the name of Jesus, just leave me.
Man, show you what, Aya?
Yeah.
So what you plan for though?
Me need a moving truck so me can take all my things.
Aya, what you worry yourself for? Link up Nuff Loads, trucker up. Then pick up and chop off in a zap. Right now, them have truckers on standby right now. Work with them, give them a call, link them on Instagram.
But me have a the whole of this